In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Twisted series by Ana Huang and discussing whether I thought it lived up to the BookTok hype. This is going to follow the exact same format as my Kings of Sin breakdown video, so I'm not going to go into crazy detail about each of the books. I'll give you the overall vibe of the Twisted series and let you know what I loved and didn't love about each of the books and whether I'd recommend it to you. And I cannot leave this video without discussing the fact that this is going to be a TV show. I can't wait. I am so freaking excited. So I'll definitely talk about that at the end. And I'll let you know whether I preferred it to the Kings of Sin series. I thought I was so late to the Twisted series hype, but I found out that the first and second book, which is Twisted Love and then Twisted Games, came out in 2021. And then the next year, in 2022, Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies came out. So that's so quick for a whole series to come out. And that was literally only a couple years ago. So not too late to the party. So the Twisted series follows 4 women. They're all 22, living in New York and attending the same university. We have Ava, Jules, Bridget, and Stella. They're a typical girl group that you find in these books. Like, we've got a wild one, we've got the sensible, cute, fluffy one, we've got the one that's very shy, but when you get to know her, she comes out of her shell. Then we have a bad boss who you think she's prim and proper, but she can stand up for herself. And I feel like, you know, in a girl group, there's like 2 besties, like besties. And I feel like Ava and Jules are that. I think they're a bit closer, they've known each other a bit longer, and they live with each other at the start of the book. But Jules lives with Stella at one point. I feel like Bridget she kind of gets pulled away from the group a bit more than the others. However, they're all still there for each other and I absolutely love their bond. But each book is based off of one of their love lives. And let's bring in the guys now. We have Alex, Josh, who they're best friends, and Josh is the older brother of Ava. Then we have Rhys and Christian. Now, all of these, the only ones that are crazy interlinked and like friends is Alex and Josh. Then Rhys, he is a bit of an outsider. He gets introduced in the first book and yeah, he's not bestie with these guys. And then Christian, he gets introduced in the second book, but he has a connection to Rhys. They used to work together back in the day, but you also find out he has a connection with one of the other guys as well. So they're less clicky and more together out of like randomness, or what's the word? Like, they've crossed paths before. Now, if you've read the Kings of Sin series, you will know Christian. You will know this man. Will you know Alex? You might even know Alex. I don't think Alex was in that series. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but Christian does have a lot to play with in the Kings of Sin series. Like, when I saw him in this book, I was like, whoa, I was shocked. I love an overlap of different universes. When authors do that, it's great, it's special, it's unique. Now, there's many similarities to the Kings of Sin series and the Twisted series, but the main difference is that not all of these guys are billionaires. We have 2 billionaires, Alex and Christian. They definitely have tons of money. Then Rhys, I don't think he's not poor, he's wealthy, but he's not like a billionaire, and he isn't like a flaunter, he doesn't live a flashy life, etc. In my eyes, he's very minimalistic, if you will. And then we have Josh, who is the most normal guy out of all of them. Like, he's a doctor, he might own his home, but he hasn't got like crazy savings. He likes to go traveling and spend his money like that. And he does everyday stuff like normal guys in their late 20s. And all of these men do shady stuff. You know Ana Huang, she likes to write red flag behavior, and these guys definitely do. All but one. We have one unproblematic king, and if you know who he is, comment below. Before I picked the Twisted series up, I saw online this is meant to be spicy. And did it live up to the spice expectation? Yes, I would say this is quite a spicy series. The books do get spicier as you read on, but then so does the size of the book. So the first book's quite small, and then the books do get bigger and longer as the series continues. So I feel like there was a good balance of spice to plot ratio, but sometimes the spice was a bit cringe, and I didn't gel with the characters in some of these books, and I was just like, I wasn't into the spice basically. But if you like spicy books, this is going to deliver for you, and it does have some plot there. Some crazy stuff happens in between. It's very on par to how Ana Huang writes all of her other series. There is always the build up to the spice, the we shouldn't do this, I'm attracted to you, but no. Then it's them doing it or doing something sexual like foreplay. Then, as always, there will be a sexual situation that's a bit risque. It's in public or in a situation where other people could hear. There's high stakes in that scene. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking about the phone call in Twisted Love, and then the throne scene in Twisted Games. I mean, and if you are a romance lover and you're one of those people that like those tropes, you like the Wattpad vibe, this is going to deliver, because that's the great thing about these books. Each book has its own theme. So we have Twisted Love. This is getting with your brother's best friend. He's meant to be looking out for me, but he falls for me instead. And it's also grumpy male lead, grumpy as hell, cold, aloof, etc. And then sunshine and fluffy female lead. And his nickname for her is literally Sunshine. Twisted Games is princess and bodyguard. So their love is forbidden, and it's also age gap of 10 years. And I'm not an age gap lover. I am not. And they don't do anything until she's 24 and he's 34. And they only met 2 years prior. And trust me, Rhys is everything. So don't worry about that age gap. If I can do it, and I'm not an age gap lover, you can do it. Then Twisted Hate. This is enemies to lovers, and I'm talking enemies. We see them hating each other throughout the first and second book. Like, they do not get on. And a bit of friends to benefits. I mean, friends with benefits. But it's more like frenemies, because they still hate each other. They just find each other really attractive. And then lastly, we have Twisted Lies. Now, this is fake dating, situationship. It's also forced proximity, because she has to move in with him because she has a stalker. So you get a bit of everything, but they all do share some similarities. We have betrayal in every single book but one, and the betrayal doesn't always happen via the male character. It can happen by the female character as well. And they all have a third act breakup. I mean, is it an Ana Huang book without a third act breakup? You should expect it. It's gonna be there. I eat it up every single time. So let's get into what I loved or didn't love about each of these books. We have Twisted Love. This is Alex and Ava's story. Alex is a business CEO of his family's company, and then Ava is at university in the first book. She is doing a photography degree, and she works part-time at a gallery. Now, she lives next door to her older brother, Josh. They're very close. He's very protective of her because Ava has gone through trauma in her past. I was gonna say past life, but she's living the same life. Anyway, he asks his best friend to move into his house because he's going to be going away for like 6 months, so he can keep an eye on Ava. And he really trusts Alex. He knows Alex doesn't believe in love. He is a bit of a player. He is emotionless. He, you know, etc. He's no way going to fall and be interested in Ava. And then on the other hand, Ava and her friends are like, oh my God, he's so mysterious. He's so stone-faced, doesn't even have any emotions. So Jules kind of baits Ava into getting to know Alex to find out what emotions he has. So that forces them to spend a lot more time together, and it's about their love story. And let me tell you, this man goes through it in regards to not wanting to want her, but then wanting her so much, to the point where he would let the world burn for her. I think that's even on the front cover. If you like a guy that grafts for the girl, then you are gonna like Alex, because he grafts for Ava's love, and rightfully so. This is the book that everyone raves about. Everyone loves Alex, and don't get me wrong, there is great spending because he's a billionaire and he does some flexing moves. Like, he buys a really expensive piece of art in her gallery, so then Ava gets a big commission, and it's such a flex. He also gets really jealous. He's possessive, and I love a stone-faced, moody character, but then who's a bit of a softie when it comes to the girl. And this is that. And Ava, her troubles, like, she is seriously going through some tragic stuff, like mentally, but then so is Alex, and I like the bond that they shared. They've both gone through trauma and they can relate to each other in regards to that and be there for each other. But I don't know what it was. Even though this is the shortest book and it has the least amount of spice, and I thought there was so much spice in here. And I think that's because the plot lacked. So much happened at the end of the book, and I just didn't vibe with them. It felt very random with loads of sex, and it all came together very nicely at the end, but getting to the end was tough. And I have to caveat though, don't come for me, because I know people love Alex. I fell in love with Alex and Ava as the series went on. Like, they feature a lot throughout each of the books. Well, not really Twisted Games, but they feature heavily in Twisted Hate. And I ended this series loving Alex. So judging him by the whole series, love him. Judging him by his book, not so much. And I feel like the betrayal that happens in this one is the worst out of all of them. And I know people will disagree with me there. And so overall, I gave it a 2.5. Like, the writing was not the best. The writing improves as the series goes on. Now, Twisted Games, this is Bridget and Rhys's story. Bridget is a princess, but she's never meant to be on the throne because her older brother is meant to be king, but he abdicates and is like, I want to marry for love, and he wants to marry a commoner. So that's what he does. And then Bridget, who's had a very, you could say, easy life as being a princess. She's able to go to university in New York, live her life, not have much restriction, and now she's having to be thrust back to her country and potentially be queen. Now, Rhys, he is, I think he's ex-military. He's obviously 10 years older. He's also worked at a security company, and he ends up becoming Bridget's bodyguard when her bodyguard retires. And Bridget really doesn't get on with him because her previous bodyguard was really sweet, nice. She made jokes with him. He was quite lenient. Whereas Rhys, he's like, no, 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 rules, rules, rules. So they really clash, they bump heads. It's funny because she finds him so attractive and she's like, who is this new bodyguard? And then instantly he really annoys her. So it just follows her dealing with the fact that she might have to be queen. It has a lot of royal politics in. She also has to find a future husband because they're like, that's going to secure your position on the throne. So she has to like date loads of suitors. And it's also about Rhys following her, continuing to be her bodyguard, but their instant connection and the friction that these two have for each other. I feel like this book had the most yearning. The yearning. Rhys is the most unproblematic, greenest flag there is. Like, don't get me wrong, he can be rough. He can be a bit edgy and he hates everyone. But when it comes to Bridget, Rhys is a softie at heart. I love, though, Bridget. She her life gets turned completely upside down. She has to deal with so much and she takes it on. She is a badass, and she reminds me a lot of Sloane from Kings of Sin series. They're really good when problems arise and they're like, okay, well, this situation and I'm gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna have to face it head on, and she doesn't let people speak down to her. And I feel like Bridget is that. She has to battle politicians, the media, everything, all at the same time as falling in love with a freaking hot bodyguard. I think this is the spiciest book. Some things that happen, the throne room, I was literally gagging. I was like, and Rhys can treat her like a princess, sweetly, take her away on a holiday because she needs a break. This was even before they were doing anything. Taking her to his favorite restaurant, his safe haven spots, just so she can get some peace. That's the type of guy he is. But then he can get freaky, dominant in the bedroom. He has no shame, and nor does Bridget. Bridget is not complaining. Anyway, even though there was a lot to love about this book, I wasn't obsessed with it. It's the book that has the least amount of crossovers with the other characters, obviously because they're not in New York anymore, and if we see the girls, it's more on like a FaceTime. It really did feel like Rhys's and Bridget's story, which isn't a bad thing, but I really like the interconnection and seeing all the other characters throughout this series. So that was a bit of a letdown for me. And overall, I gave this a 3.25. Let's go on to Twisted Hate now. I love this book. I will not take any complaints. People hate this book. People do not like Josh, and people say there's too much spice. No. I feel like because it's a freaking friends with benefits book, of course there's going to be a lot of that. But it was so explosive, it was addictive, it was steamy, and we have had this building up. Like, the build up to this book was a chef's freaking kiss. I was dying for it. So again, Josh is Ava's big brother and Jules is Ava's best friend. Now in this book, Josh is going through a really bad time. He's not his best self. He's very, very down, and he's drinking a lot, etc. His life isn't great. And then Jules, on the other hand, she has really come from nothing. She's had to fight to get where she is today. She's gone through a bit of a rocky past, and now she's feeling like she's coming out on top. She really wants to get a good law degree, get a good law job, and so she's doing some, what is it, like work experience at this place, and she finds out that Josh is also doing like free work at this place. So they end up working together and spending more time together, and then that's why they end up being like, you know what, we find each other attractive, let's just enter into a consensual sexual relationship, keep it hidden from everyone, not take this seriously, obviously don't fall in love, and see what happens. And it's about them. I just love Josh. Him as a doctor, I don't know what it is, but it's so hot. It's so freaking hot. And then Jules is the feisty, that confident friend who doesn't take crap from men. She stands up for herself, and she's very, very protective of her friends. She will not let anyone mess with them. She's gone through so much. It's made her have a hard shell, but she's actually very soft on the inside. They both have rough edges, and they can be a bit hot-headed and mean, but when they're together, the banter, they are just perfect. I can't get enough of these two, and I hate the hate that they get. And I will say this, Jules, she carries this series. For me, there was a good amount of spice and plot. Like, people say there was too much spice, but I really felt like it was integrated and in the story where it was meant to be, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like it was too much, but that's probably because I absolutely loved Josh and Jules. Like, I was rooting for them, and I was just so excited for their book, so that probably had an impact on that. I absolutely loved the fact that we have so much downtime with other characters. Like, in this book, Jules is living with Stella, so we get a lot more insight into Stella. Christian also pops up into this book, and we also get so much of Alex and Ava. Like, Alex has a lot to do with Josh's point of view, and then Ava obviously has a lot to do with both Josh and Jules his point of view, but mainly Jules. And they all four of them, they go on a ski trip. I love that. I didn't dislike much about this book, in all honesty, except the portrayal. Both of them, I mean, like I've described them, both of them do wrong. Some more than others. And there's one moment which will cut you deep. It cut me so deep. My mouth dropped to the floor, but it doesn't stop me from hating these characters. And I don't think the portrayal is as bad as the first book. And people really don't agree with that opinion. And I gave this a 4 out of 5, and it was actually in my top 5 reads of 2024. Now, going to the last book is Twisted Lies. I was so excited for this because we don't see or get to hear much about Stella. She's very much the innocent looking friend. She keeps herself to herself. She's got some anxiety. So we just knew the least about her. So I was so excited for this. And also Christian, I know Christian because I've read the Kings of Sin series, and he has so much to play throughout those books. Stella, she is a influencer and model, but she also wants and is very passionate about designing and making clothes. And then Christian is like the CEO and billionaire of his own security firm. Stella is getting a lot of pressure from her agency to reach 1 million followers. They're like, if you reach 1 million, you're going to get loads more deals. It's going to be great for your career. And so she notices that online people end up getting more followers if they're in a relationship. Now, Christian, on the other hand, he gets berated at loads of these business events. People are like, you don't have anyone on your arm. He gets hassled. So they start entering into a fake relationship so Stella can get more followers and that Christian can take someone to these events and like improve his image. One thing about these two is they're very similar but different. They keep their cards close to their chest. They don't want to tell everyone their business. Christian, because he's a private nut freak, whereas Stella, she's like, I don't want to burden people and put my worries and issues onto them. So when they finally start trusting each other and opening up, that's great. But this has, I mean, Christian, he's a nutter. He is. He's unhinged. He is someone that if you cross him, he will ruin your life. He will blow up your car. He will drain your bank account. He has no mercy. And if you cross or do anything to his girl, there's no stopping him. And Stella does not take crap from him. She stands up for herself. And when we get to know her, she's actually a firecracker. She really is. She has a bit of a wild side. Obviously, she likes it a bit kinky, and Christian delivers. This has the most crazy spending in, I feel like. Like, you can tell he's a billionaire, and he does some great moves. Like, she is doing a modeling shoot on a beach, and he's like, everyone leave now. You've got 2 minutes to pack up and go. And he pays them like thousands of dollars to do so. They go on holidays, etc. Like, he knows how to spend money and spend money on Stella. He also hires out a whole restaurant so they can have a romantic meal there. His favorite restaurant. I just love billionaire spending. I love it. But there were a few things that I wasn't too keen on. And the main thing was the whole plot of her having to reach 1 million followers and then life's going to be easier for her, blah, 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 blah. That was so corny and absolute BS. There's a big thing that happens in the book at the end, you know, when it's like gearing up and it's like a moment and you're like, what's going to happen? This fell so flat. I was so disappointed with that bit. I can't say more because I'm going to spoil the book for you. So that was a bit underwhelming, and also this book was long. It did not need to be as long as it was. Even though it feels like now I'm crapping on the book, I gave this a 3.5, and one of the main reasons was the conclusion of this series. Like, it jumps far into the future and we get a little snippet of how everyone's doing, was perfection. I was smiling so much finishing this. It was a chef's kiss. Now, book ranking, I think it's pretty obvious with how I've hyped these books up. The first and the best for me was Twisted Hate. Absolutely love these characters, love the book. the pacing, everything about it was great. Then the next two was hard. It's between Twisted Lies and Twisted Games. And I think it has to go Twisted Lies, then Twisted Games, and then lastly, Twisted Love. Now, talking about my favourite characters, obviously Jules, she is my girl. I love her, she carried the series, she's phenomenal. Then, it's tough. I think joint middle, if not a little bit more, I love Stella. I really did. So probably Stella and then Ava, but they're so close, pretty much on the same. And then lastly, Bridget, but I still love her. I really do, but she was too taken out of the book. Now the guys, top place was hard. It was between Josh and Rhys, but Josh is my man. Josh is on top. Then Rhys, the unproblematic, amazing king. Then we have Alex. And Alex goes here because of how much I fell in love with him throughout the whole series. Like, his book, if I was doing it per book, it would be Christian and then Alex. But looking at the whole series, it's Alex then Christian, 100%. Would I recommend this series to you? Yes. For me, it lived up to the BookTok hype. It's one of those ones that gets branded as a spicy, easy to read series, and that is literally what it is. I would say Twisted Love was a bit of a letdown for me, but as the series went on, the writing improved, the plot was so much better. However, these are trashy books. They're not a masterpiece. They are very tropey. They're all very similar. They just have a different clothing on. Now, do I prefer it to the Kings of Sin series? No. I think it's because I read Kings of Sin before and I fell in love with this world and Ana Huang, and those characters I felt had a bit more depth. There was more plot. The spicy scenes were spicy, but they had a bit more build up, a bit more flair to them. But I still love both of them. Just there's something about the Kings of Sin series which I'm in love with, and I can't wait for King of Envy. Now let's talk about the fact that this is gonna be a freaking TV show. I was screaming. I was so excited, and I think it was picked up by Netflix. It's giving me Bridgerton vibes. And what I mean by that is the fact that Bridgerton was also based off a book series. Each book follows one of the family members, and that's very similar to the Twisted series, as in each book follows one of the 4 women. And the TV show does exactly that. So like the first one was about the first book, about Daphne, etc. And I know it's gonna be that, right? I mean, it's not being confirmed, but I'm assuming the first season will be about Twisted Love and then so on. Some people do not think it will follow the same order as the Twisted series, but I think it has to, right? Because if you've read the books, or when you read the books, some of the stories overlaps. It doesn't just, so like, I don't know how to explain this. So like at the end of Twisted Love, when we start Twisted Games, it's not at the end of Twisted Love. Like it kind of jumps back in time a bit, and we know events that happen, but we're seeing it from Bridget's perspective, and then it jumps forward. And that's the exact same throughout the series. So I think it would be very difficult to change the order, and I would be happy if they kept the same order. I want that build up of seeing Josh and Jules hate each other, and seeing that build up to the 3rd series, like to the 3rd season. But what do you think? Let me know. Do you think it's gonna stay the same order, or do you think it's gonna mix up? Now, with the casting, for me, there's only a few things that I need to happen. Like I would be upset if they changed it. One is the connection and vibe of Ava and Josh. They are such a big part of this series, and their bond, they go through a lot. They're protective of each other, but then it has ups and downs, and there's a lot of drama in regards to their family. So I need that chemistry between their brother and sister bond. Like not romance at all, but you know what I mean? Like the chemistry of them. We want to believe that they're family members. So that's important, who they cast for that. Then it's Rhys. He better be freaking 10 years older. I do not want a 20-something actor playing this man. I need a rough 30-year-old. He looks a bit rough around the edges, you know? Or he could be in his 20s, but he has to look visibly older than Bridget, because that's the point. And I don't want him to have even a little bit of a sweet look. He's got sharp edges. He's gone through it. He's so moody, but then he's sweet. Oh, I have high expectations for that casting. I don't even know who I would want, but I have high expectations. And I do not want any massive actors. I want nobodies, please. Or people that we know but we wouldn't expect. Lastly is Jules. I have seen so many fan castings of a stick, thin, redhead. No, 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 no. She is a curvy woman. Please, guys, please. Even Josh, he loves her curves. He loves her body. And she's meant to be curvy, like she's got like a big chest. She's got that red hair, etc. Like there's so much more to her, and that's the point. They don't all look similar. They're not all meant to be stick thin. So I would be so gutted if they do cast a very typical model-esque Jules. We want a curvy woman. And I've not seen anyone say this person, and I think they would be amazing to play Jules, and it is Eliza McKay, and she does the voice, like the audio narrator for the Royals of Malibu series. And I will play you a clip of her voice, and it's just, she screams Jules to me.
So you think you can have me?
I mean, couldn't I?
Oh, fuck.
Yes or no?
Yes.
And people might say she isn't a redhead. They can wear a wig or dye her hair. She would be perfect, people. Please. And if you're on BookTok, please tell me everyone's going crazy, because I'm going crazy. I'm going absolutely wild, because the fan casting is coming alive. When anyone does any book edit, everyone does pretty much the same people for Ava, Bridget, and Stella. They literally, all of them are these three women. And they've met up in real life and they've made TikToks. I screamed the house down. Please, can you imagine? Can you imagine if these three get casted? The book community will be winning, and oh, I just can't wait. I cannot wait for this show. Please tell me in the comments, who are you most excited to see on screen? Like what character, what book or series, like 1, 2, 3 or 4, are you most looking forward to seeing? I need to know your fan castings as well. Do you agree with me? I'm gonna leave you here now. I've rambled on and on. Please do comment. I love this series and I really would love to know your favorite books and characters, whether you disagreed with me or not. I know I'm gonna get some backlash from the twisted love and the twisted hate opinions, but it's all good. We can all have different perspectives and preferences. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys. But then Stella accepts him for who he is. I don't know how the hell she does it. He's a bit creepy. He is, because I think I have very conflicting feelings and different feelings to the usual twisted fans. Like some books I had such high expectations for, because online everyone's raving about it. Everyone's raving about this man. And for me, it was the complete opposite. And then a book everyone kind of disses is my absolute favorite.